and you love that house. You don't have anybody to tell you and show you the comps, right? So now, instead of saving 15, you actually spent 35,000 more than you should have.
Yeah.
Right? Because you needed a buyer's agent. And these are things you guys need to know, understand. If any of you think that buyer's agents aren't important, and believe me, there are lots of agents out there who believe that. They don't want to say it out loud, but they hear that buyer go, well, I don't think I need an agent. In the back of their mind, they're going, yeah, he's right, he's got me. It's not true. Right? Anyway. So, if they won't meet me, they're not a buyer. What does that mean, Marco?
Well, if they're not willing to sit down with you and go over their finances and get pre-qualified.
Why'd you show them that one house then?
Because, that was the first time I had to sit down with them. It was my own listing.
Oh, it was your own listing?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, after that, I explained to them not all, but quite a few of the pitfalls involved in buying a home. They had bought a home before, but after the fact, they realized that they could have done better. And I showed them why that wouldn't have happened had they used me.
Okay.
And then that developed enough trust to where they would open up their entire situation
I agree
and agree to be loyal to me.
I agree with you. Uh-oh, what happened?
And by the way,
just hit the enter.
And by the way, that generated not one but 3 sales.
Oh, that was
Oh, nice.
And that came off of a Remax.com lead too.
Well, I was going to say, and I was going to point, but there's nothing to point at now, that do we see how some of these beliefs actually feed off of each other? Okay? Because if they won't meet me, they're not... How do you get to a different page? Oh, because I was pressing the button. There we go. If they won't meet me, they're not a buyer, right? Well, they need to meet me, right? So that I can show them my system, so that we can guarantee their results, so that we can focus them, so that time will reveal all, because in that meeting we're going to figure out if this person's going to be a waste of time or not, right? So it goes all different ways. We're trying to figure out if they're motivated, qualified, and loyal by doing that meeting. We're trying to figure out that before time will reveal it later. And we've wasted a lot of it, okay? And then an A buyer, in quotation, deserves my immediate time and attention, so that after all that, what's an A buyer?
Someone who's willing, ready, and able to buy right now.
Or
in the very
motivated, qualified, and loyal, right? Okay. So again, these beliefs, you can't argue with them. You need to have them to be successful. Or little thoughts will creep up in the back of your head and then will make you operate in a different way. Okay? So that's why we think that that's very important. So let's move on. That brings us to the 3 models. You may have seen this page before. You're going to see it again in your business plan. Okay? This is the model of a real estate business. Okay? So it says, think of it this way. So we told you, we want you to start thinking about your aspirations, your life aspirations, right? Those are the things that you want out of your business. Those things have a financial requirement to them, right? That's why I wanted you to start listing the dollar values next to the aspirations, because added up, that's the money you need to get that stuff, okay? So now we know what your financial requirement is, and you'll see underneath that on your business plan, it says entrepreneur's mantra, because that's the sentence that says it's unacceptable for my business to profit less than this amount of money, because then I won't make that financial requirement and I won't get the things I want, right? And so underneath that, we have our business plan, which helps us accomplish that goal, okay? The economic model, part of that, tells us how many deals we need to do to reach that financial requirement, okay? And we're going to figure that out together. The operational model, and underneath you see strategies, those are the activities that you're going to be putting in places, the systems that will allow you to do that many deals, okay? And then on the other side, you have the organizational model, or functions. Okay, so those are the people and the things in charge of running those systems. And when you're a solo agent, for the most part, it's you and a lot of things, but you have to also understand and you remember the ancillary arms, because they come into play, right? And it's not just who's doing it, it's when and in what priority. Okay? And so those 3 things working together help get us the money to get us the things that we want. Now, on the bottom, you have performance standards. Okay? Because if I say this is your business plan, and you go do it, and you make $100,000 doing it, and then the next year, use that same business plan, don't change a thing, How are you gonna make 200? Using just the same plan.
Doing twice as much.
You're not doing twice as much. You're getting better at what you're doing, right? And so if you're making 100 phone calls the first year, and this is just an example, but 10 of those turn into a listing, maybe the next year 20 turn into a listing, right? Because you're getting better at the skills. The more you do it, the better you get. And so performance standards are what we need to be tracking in order to see where we're struggling. And that's why we have our classes. That's why we have the boot camp classes, because they're there to help you get better at the knowledge and skills, to hone your craft, to master the basics of your plan that will help you grow year after year after year, until the point when you alone can no longer do more in 24 hours, which is when you need to start thinking about a team, leveraging yourself out. Right, exactly. Okay, so does that make sense? All right. So let's go to page, 25? Okay. Summary of the business models. We're just going to touch on this. You see, the economic model includes the following items: your entrepreneur's mantra, which we talked about, right? How much profit you need. Your commission rate schedule. These are the things that you're going to need to know that I was kind of telling you last week for the business plan, okay? The commission rate schedule is your average commission rate, right? Which is somewhere between probably 2.5 and 3%, okay? So what you want to do is you want to go back as many deals as you possibly can and take an average of what percent commission you got, okay? Because I know maybe somebody in this room has even done, what is Barbara, she does 7%, right? So that's, I'm sure some of you guys, a third Barbara.
Yeah.
Some of you guys may have done that, but some of you guys have taken 2 and 2.5%, right?
Yeah.
And the difference between 2 and 2.5% and 3% is a major difference. In fact, the difference between 2.7 and 2.8 is a major difference. So we need to know what your average is. And we're going to be conservative, if anything. Because the whole point here when we're doing your business plan is, if you say you're at 2.8 and you end up getting 2.7, the expectation that you're going to reach your goal goes out the window. If you tell me that you're 2.7 and you end up being 2.8, you'll meet or exceed your goal, right? So we need to be conservative. Or the best case is being able to go back and looking at your last 5 years or whatever and seeing what your actual average is. Because that's going to be how you'll operate going forward. Same thing for, also you have your transaction benchmark, your volume, and your financial statements. That's what goes in there. But the other things we're going to need to know is your average sales price. So you're going to need to start doing that homework. What's your average sales price? Right? Because if you're going to tell me it's 300,000 and you end up averaging 250, right, you're not going to reach your goal. But if you tell me it's 250 and you average 3, you're going to meet or exceed your goal. Okay? Now, underneath that, you have the sales beliefs. This is the priorities, right? Lead generation, lead conversion servicing, the lead generation strategies, prospecting and marketing, conversion strategies. That's what goes into that. And then you have the listing beliefs, which is who's doing what and when, the organizational chart, the sales responsibilities, and so on and so forth. Just more of a model page. Okay, 26. So, I want you to answer the question at the top. Okay? Real estate is a blank margin, and the other word for margin is commission. So, real estate is a blank commission, blank volume business. The answers are either high or low.
What are you saying? I'm sorry.
You need to fill in the blank. Real estate is a blank commission, blank volume business. It's either high or low.
There's a little bit of an opinion on that, but I'd say low margin, high volume business.
Is that your opinion?
I would say high profit.
Well, it depends on how you're looking at it. When you're looking at from the perspective of the seller, I guess that's really not what we're doing here, but 3%.
No, we're not talking about as a seller. We're talking about as a real estate agent, as a salesperson.
Well, then it's a high margin. If you're looking at what you put into it in financial terms, your investment, your own investment into it, it's a high margin.
Well, margin meets commission. Barbara Veens, what do you think?
I would say high.
High, high? Suzanne?
I would say high, low.
High, low?
Not if we wanna be like Laura Sanders.
She does a,
Yeah, okay, good. What's Laura Sanders? Fill in the blanks and pretending you're Laura Sanders.
It's definitely high volume.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
Okay.
This business is limitless. I mean, you can.
Depends on what you're working in and
Actually,
properties
I
you're
think
working in,
that,
but I still think it's high because you can go out there and make a lot of money on one sale. I mean, a basic sale in our area is say 300,000 for a house. It's like hard to if you
Okay.
work in,
Well,
not to be
wouldn't
able to
you
make
say
You
that-
want a 20-year career, okay? You're in year one of a 20-year career, okay? As a first-year agent, you did 25 sales at $100,000 versus one person who did one sale for $5 million.
Right.
Who has a chance to be a better agent?
The one that did multiple?
Yeah.
Way more.
Now, I'm not saying that the guy who did one sale isn't going to be a great agent, but we know one thing, that person can work.
Their
This person
skills.
might have got lucky.
Yeah.
And their
Right.
skills can bring them up to doing more deals like that person, but that person will that was
Have
most likely
experience.
lucky. You know, I mean, you just luck into deals sometimes, so they might have had a lucky experience.
So the answer, and go ahead and write this, is real estate is a low margin, low commission, high volume business. Okay? You were right, yes. And you can't argue with that. Yes, you can do higher priced
Right.
properties. You still want to do as many of those as possible, don't you?
Of course.
Right? So it's always going to be a low commission. Obviously, to each person, their definition of what that commission is going to be different. But a low commission, that's the goal. That's why the basic economic premise, which is right here, is, right, when you have low commissions, but a lot of them, you're going to make a lot of money. Right? A lot of money and keeping your expenses low is going to guarantee a lot of money in your pocket, right? That's the basic economic premise. So this is how we calculate your transaction benchmark. We take the amount of money you want to make, your goal, your entrepreneur's mantra, right? And we divide it by your operating expenses. I'm sorry, we add, yeah, I knew that wasn't a division. We add your operating expenses, and that's going to give us the amount of revenue you need, right? Because if you need to profit $50,000, and you're spending $50,000, how much money do you need to make that year? 100, right? Perfect. And then dividing your average commission rate is going to get you the amount of volume that you needed to close, and that volume divided by the average sales price is going to get you the number of deals. Okay, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to figure out how many deals you need based on that. Okay, so that's how that's going to go in. So page 27 is just a template. It's the commission rate schedule. I think you can actually cross this page out. I don't think it's really relevant in our area. It's given to you so that you can keep track of what your commission rate is and come up with your own average. However, if you see it's got small listing, large listing, lots, acreages, commercial, right? That's because in some areas of the country there's very specific commission rates for the type of property you're working on. We're in the South, which is the Wild Wild West, which means it's a straight negotiation here. Which means this sheet's not going to help you keep track so much as Broker Wolf keeps track for you. You can keep track of yourself. If you can't keep track, that means you're doing a lot of deals, and that's a good thing. But this is just a sheet that would help you keep track of your average commission. Page 28. Okay, page 28, we are now moving into, we went over the economic model. That was the transaction benchmark page. This is the operational model, okay? So this is the operational premise of a real estate agent, right? This is how you guys make money. On day one, you had to start prospecting, right? And those are the prospecting sources. When you prospect, you generate leads. For the most part, new leads in the beginning, right? When you convert those leads into buyers and sellers and service them, do a really good job for them, right? It turns into more marketing, doesn't it? Your listing comes with a yard sign, advertisements you can put up, just listed, just sold cards, the one that's not up here, word of mouth, right? And all that turns into more leads, right? Referral and repeat. And you see the cycle that that can create, right? And our offices are filled with real estate agents who are on this cycle roller coaster, and that's really all they're doing, right? All I do is, at this point, is referral and repeats, and they say that proudly, right? But Okay, but why aren't you growing your business? Right? You can't grow your business if all you're having is repeat and referrals, which is why sometimes you're awesome and sometimes it's not so good. Because those people didn't need to buy a new house or sell their house, right? But if you're continuing to prospect, which is why it's outside of this cycle, and inflicting new business in, right, you're going to continue to grow. But the problem is when we get so busy, right, and let's say we're maximizing what we do within our 24 hours, what do we stop doing? We stop doing the prospecting,
The number one thing.
right? Most of us are happy to stop doing it, right? But that's going to help us make more money. So somebody should be doing it. Underneath that we have the 12 core, and now there's 13 core training classes. If you want to write it down, the 13th class is another business class, and it's called Building a Team. But these are meant to help you get better at skills associated with something that is on this chart. Okay? Wherever you think you need more help, whether it's in prospecting, generating the leads, converting the leads, or servicing your clients, there's a class that's going to help you be better at those skills. Okay? All right, page 29. Page 29 is another kind of template. This is just showing you what we call our planning page. This is an introduction to what Momentum calls the pyramid of know, do, how. I'm sorry, know, do, have. Means what we want you to do is understand all the things you need to do, all the things you need to know, and all the tools you need to have to be successful at the task at hand. Okay? And so every class that we teach you, open house boot camp, expired listing boot camp, there's going to be a planning page. And the planning page is going to show you the things you need to do, the things you need to have, and the things you need to know to be successful at accomplishing that, right? So that's all this is showing you. We're going to go past this page. So past this page, past the next page, go to page 31. Okay, so now we're going to move into the 8 positions of a real estate business, right? Remember on that real estate is a numbers game page. Now we're down to the 8 positions, okay? So, whether you knew it or not, there is 8 hats that you wear every day as a real estate agent. These are them, okay? You are a listing specialist, you are a buyer specialist. You're a listing coordinator, a closing coordinator, a marketing coordinator, an administrative assistant, and you're your own bitch. Right? Anybody argue with that?
No.
And if you're a team, you got somebody doing some of these things, right? But this needs to get done. All of these things need to get done, don't they? Okay, so we've broken the 8 down into $3 productive ones and 5 administrative ones. Okay? So, just based on the concept of dollar productive versus administrative, Suzanne, which one would you rather be concentrating on?
The dollar productive.
Exactly. So then the question is, why do most agents focus all their time on the administrative stuff?
Because they don't know any better.
Right? Okay, they don't know any better. It's easy,
It's easier.
right? It's the easier stuff, right? We'll go on Facebook, I'm going to post some pictures and things, and hopefully somebody wants to buy something, right? That's easy. Right? Listing specialist and buyer specialist means you're picking up the phone and dialing. Right? You're prospecting. That's where your money is, but you don't want to do that. In fact, some people try to hire people to do that. Or they'll do dialers and things like that when they have no idea how to even make the phone call. Or they'll get Zillow leads, and when somebody calls, they've got no idea what to do. How many new agents go and get Zillow?
Yeah.
It's useless. Unless you know what you're doing. Right? So, there's also a mathematical equation to the reason most agents move towards the stuff, the administrative stuff, and it's down here, and it's because 75% of what you need to do is administrative. So it feels like there's more activities there, right?
It feels like if you're busy, you must be getting somewhere, and that's really not necessarily the case.
Thank you.
Right.
And I know, brand new agent, doing it for years, we've all been through the point where you felt really good about being really busy. Right? You went home, man, I had a busy day. It was awesome. I didn't even have a minute to think. I was working all day. That's a good feeling. until 6 months go by and you didn't make a sale, right? Nothing, you never sold anything out of the 6 months of work that you just put in, right? And now all that work seems like it was a waste of time, right? So that's the point. It's not about the amount of busy you are, it's the amount of productive that you are, right? And so we're showing you just by this right here that this is the stuff you need to be concentrating on, but instead we shy away from that, right? And so you have to understand that. But somebody's got to be in charge of all those things. So let's go to page 32, because underneath the 8 jobs, we have the 14 responsibilities. There's 7 within our listing department and 7 within our buyer department. Now, these are basically categories for every activity that you're going to be working on anytime you're doing anything for real estate. And so somebody challenged me that think of a different category or a different kind of responsibility that something in real estate would fall under. It doesn't, right? Lead generation, lead conversion, admin prep, marketing and exposure, presenting and negotiating, closing prep, post-closing, right? There's no activity that you're going to be doing to get a listing or anything to do with a listing that would fall under a category that's not listed here, right? So these all need to be taken care of, don't they? All right. Somebody has to be responsible for all of that. So let's go to page 33 before we jump to the vital activities. These are our ancillary arms, okay? And we already talked about ancillary arms and what they are. They're the people that help us accomplish our goal. But the first thing we need to understand is that there are 3 different types of activities. There are vital activities. Vital activities must be done and must be done now. Relevant activities must be delegated. Now please, I want you to all remember that's a magical D word. It's called delegation, okay? So whenever I say relevant, immediately I want you to think delegate, okay? Because that's going to come up, all right? So relevant activities must be delegated. Irrelevant activities have to be ignored. Do you think we all do any irrelevant activities within our day? Right? So we want to completely get that out. And again, Facebook. If Facebook is something that you do that helps make you money, great. But for most people who pretend that that's the truth, it's really an irrelevant activity. Okay? Now, the following ancillary arms must exist for you to stay vital. So, these are 6 ancillary arms for your business. 3 of those are people, 3 of those are systems. You may not know what 16 touch, 8 and 8, and 33 touch are, but those are systems of following up with people. Okay, we teach those in various boot camps. Okay, so you don't need to know exactly what the system is, but just understand that they are a system to follow up with people. One is to follow up with people who are going to buy in a long term or sell in a long term. One is a system that will follow up with people who are ready to go within the next few months. And one is just a system of following up with past clients. Okay? That's all you need to know about that. So let's start with mortgage, okay? So, let me ask you something. Marco, if you are working with a buyer, okay, and he sits down and he tells you, I want to buy a house, I want you to help me, okay, and you say, well, are you qualified? And he says, no, I haven't spoken to a lender yet. Is that person vital to your business or relevant to your business?
Until he has spoken, he is not relevant.
Correct. Don't overthink it, right? He is not vital to your business. He is relevant to your business, right? Because he may be able to buy something. So of course that's relevant to your business, right? So how do we make him vital then? What do we do with relevant people?
Get them qualified.
Delegate.
Thank you. The magical D word, right?
Delegate.
We delegate this relevant buyer to our mortgage company to get them qualified, which will now make them vital, which means we will now work with them. Does that make sense? Okay. Long-term follow-up person. Okay, so, Kendra. You meet somebody who tells you that they're thinking about selling their house, right? And you get all excited because they're talking to you about it, right? But they tell you they're probably not going to be putting it on the market for like 5 or 6 months. Is that person vital to your business or relevant to your business?
They're vital. Relevant?
They are relevant to your business, right? They're the possibility of business, but right now, none of it, right? And so spending any time thinking about them and doing things for them, it's gonna be a waste of your time. But they're relevant, and so what do we do with relevant people?
Delegate.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
What are we gonna delegate them to in this specific situation? A system of following up, okay? And I don't care, we're gonna teach you these pretty names, 16 touch, 8 and 8, 33 touch, but your system of follow-up could be your Excel spreadsheet, it can be your little black book, it can be your iPhone, I don't care what it is, but you're gonna put them in a system that will remind you and make sure you do follow up with them consistently so that when they are ready to buy or sell, they'll be vital. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So same thing with title, right? There's a problem with the home or whatever. They fall into that category. 8 and 8 is for short-term follow-up. 33 touches for past clients. Now let's talk about inspection for a second. Who goes on every home inspection?
You. Inspector.
You guys do.
I do. I have to.
Why do you do that?
Because I have it written in one of the things that I hand out to my buyers and sellers that I will be at each inspection.
I like that, okay? I'm gonna say I like that because you have a written plan, right? And you are following your plan, and so that's a system, great. Do it every time, okay? So I'm here to say this is not always 100%, okay? Because they don't know what living in South Florida is like, the people who wrote this. Okay, see the idea here is that an inspector is somebody that you can delegate to, right? Because it is a complete waste of all of your times, and I know because you all go on your inspections, so you know it's a complete waste of your time to be sitting there.
I just do pop in
Yeah.
again. I do
Follow
the
up
pop
and
in,
you-
maybe at the beginning.
Hey,
just
come sit in your car and make some prospecting phone calls, make the best of it, okay? But you do not necessarily need to be there if we were living in a perfect world with inspectors who do a good job, right? So now let me ask you a question. If you knew, Marco, that your inspector was gonna do an awesome job, not scare your clients, right? Or any other concern you may have, do you really need to be at the inspection?
No.
I do.
You probably don't, but I
Yeah.
still would, because there's something to be said for how you come across to your client.
But your client shouldn't be there either, so.
Well, even if there's questions with the house, and then if the seller's there, and then it's just the biggest way for like appraisal and inspection for a deal to fall apart. I think once you get through that, you can breathe easy.
I'm not gonna disagree
Laura
with you.
has gone to everyone in both, and I think that that's why another reason why people love you. So it's kind of a good stop by too to kind of let them know you're still doing the deal. So I think that sometimes you delegate too much, you might be lost.
I
They
know,
might not
I
know
almost lost the deal by not showing up for the appraisal. Believe me,
For the appraisal.
if I had gone there and
And the
spoken with
inspection,
the
like-
appraiser and,
People
let them
like that,
know,
I
but
think.
he
You
was
know?
leaning towards the buyer
like
and
see
I
you
was
being
representing the
invested.
seller.
So that's what I'm telling you. What I'm here to say is if
Almost
you
fell apart.
believe that that's the truth, then operate that way. Make it consistent for yourself. I wish it wasn't the case, but I believe you. There are lots of inspectors out there, appraisers. That's their job. They have a license. What you just explained, what you just said was that's a license violation. They'd lose their license if what you're saying is true, right? But it still happens, doesn't it? We feel like it happens. Same thing with inspectors, right? That's their job. That's all they do. You're a real estate agent. You being there shouldn't change anything. But I get it. It does sometimes, right?
Well, if you want, I make my buyers go for all inspections. I always tell them you need to be there. You need to make arrangements because then they I don't like
For
people to get a
liability
paper.
purposes.
And then when I'm there, I go over things with the house, if the seller's there, if not the inspector, like things that they may have to know.
I think you
or
may be
something.
creating more problems than you're solving. But
No, me, no. I get that's where they all back out. I think that's the biggest comfort zone. I think
why is being there more of a comfort zone? It's
When
more
I
of a
list a
freak out.
property, when I know when I list a
Inspectors running their
property,
mouth
yeah,
about something totally.
That's totally not
And plus that they
Right, but
you
if
know,
the buyer wasn't there, they wouldn't be able to have that conversation.
Yeah, but
Well,
you
they
want
wanna
them
be
there.
there. They
I
wanna
want my
be
buyer
there.
there because then they get to learn about the house. If there's anything that's
Yeah.
negative, they can't blame it on me. They've gone
That's
through
what the
the house.
inspection is for.
No, because
Because you think
I
she's creating
really-
more problems, right?
Yeah, you're creating more problems. You really are. but that's okay.
I don't think so. Laura goes to every single one of hers, and every one she hasn't gone on, the deal falls apart. By every single time. And
What is she doing specifically?
She goes through the house with the buyers, she goes to the appraisal to get the appraisal right, and then those are two things to get the whole deal done. To me, like, if someone isn't comfortable with a house, when I'm selling you the house, when you're just starting and buying your first house, you're already nervous. So anything on that report, when I can sit down and I can question the inspector on it and make it really comfortable in their mind, that it's not a big deal, that we can do this to handle it. And then the house is to them that bought it. You know, at that point, after the inspection, it closes them.
It's your chance, I think, to prevent buyer's remorse. To make the buyer feel
I know a lot
comfortable
about
with what
properties,
they're
about
doing.
fixing them, about things that they can do, if they have questions on prices, you know, when I'm there. It's just like, to me, it just binds the deal and it's solid. That's the best like hour or less of my time to just close it.
And I find that it's also
For
time
me.
for you to guarantee some referrals after that deal.
Exactly.
Because
I asked
you're
them
walking
too,
around the
there,
house with
with
them,
them.
and you're going to see, if you've always rented, this is an air filter and you need to change
Exactly.
this.
Yep, I do all that too. I have a really good like kind of little bonding thing.
And if it brings value to the
They're
transaction,
excited.
to the buyer, if you're representing the buyer, and if you're representing the seller,
I can't delegate
it
that. I just
keeps.
do it.
Okay, so
You're not gonna win this one, I
No.
guess.
it's not a matter of that. You've all proven my point. But you're gonna do what you're gonna do,
That's fine.
right? So my point, you said it exactly, right? They run their mouth. So my point is, you had an inspector that wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah.
So the buyer doesn't necessarily have to be there. Don't even tell them it's happening. This piece of paper you get, the inspection report, that's the only thing that matters in that,
Yeah.
okay? And so you think you develop a little bit more rapport, okay? I'm saying the rapport should have been way established by this
Well, I don't
point.
really do a lot of buyers anyway, but if I do, you know, I just.
So
feel
all
it's
your
important.
reasons are in your own head why you
Yeah.
think it's important?
I
Do it,
agree
that's
with that.
fine.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's
But my
the
point to
thing.
say is that's one thing, we're talking about maximizing our business here. Every minute of your day costs you a lot of money, right? That's probably not the highest and best use of your time, but you believe it is, and so go ahead and operate that way. That's completely fine, okay? That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
That's why they're part of the ancillary arms. That's why I started this by asking that question, because I know we all have an issue with that. And I do know down here, and BPG does an awesome job, that's why we have them, but most inspectors suck. So,
Yeah.
anybody ever had
Well,
home
one
team
or two buyers a
inspection?
month I
Yes.
would do.
Even on my own purchases,
Let's go
and
the time.
Home team, if you're the buyer's agent, makes you feel good, right? If you have the listing, freaks you out. Have you ever seen Home Team?
Yeah.
They
I
come
go to
in
my
like a
listing.
military outfit.
I go with my listings too, because I like to stop by because the sellers are all nervous and I like to stop by like at the end and go over the report. I like to see what that report is, like give me the, what is the
Well, they don't
details?
give you the report
Oh,
right
I make them, I said, what are their,
I
I
love
tell
pillar
them.
to post.
I tell them all
Yeah.
to sit down with me right now with the seller or the buyer, I like the seller
How
to
could
be
they
there
have
too.
possibly formulated the report right there on the spot?
Because they tell me if there's any issues that we have to be aware of
Oh,
right now.
okay.
So if there's any kind of
Pillar to
concerns,
post
I
has their
handle it
computer
there.
and they take pictures, they load
Yeah,
everything
I have a
up
lot of
immediately
places
and
that
they
do that.
print it. They actually have the printer with them. They
Deep
print
Pretty
it,
cool.
they
Dex
give
does
you
it
your
too.
binder.
So
Dex
does
does it too.
a one inspection also.
Yeah, a lot
Fred,
of them do
he
it.
does it also. I like working with him. And the most important is that if he sees anything that's going to deter my buyer, he will talk to me first
Yeah.
about it, make sure that I had
They
already
should
discussed.
never talk to the buyer.